Jim's back. Welcome back, mate.
Thank you very much. And thank you for holding the fort. Well, yourselves and Freddie Burns, who I thought was very good. Mate, tough week, I'll be honest. I wasn't sure whether I was going to share my last week with, well, you guys know, with the masses, with the millions. But I think in the situation that we find ourselves in, and I know that everyone's going through shit at the minute, I think it's right that I do share it to the millions because we are all friends. So, yeah, mate, tough week. Beck lost a direct family member, which was extremely sad. But along with that, my auntie passed away. And then yesterday being Sunday, my nan as well, the Chinese nan, Papa, yeah, she passed away yesterday in horrible circumstances with COVID. She didn't die because of COVID. She had COVID in the system. She had dementia. She had a few underlying health issues. But I think the harrowing thing around it, and I don't know if there's anyone who listens to the podcast that is going through a similar situation, is the fact that she died on her own. And I think that for me and the family is the hardest thing to kind of put into perspective with the time that we're in, you know, and how precious life is and all these things that you hope at the end that people will be around and what have you. But the way that the world is in the minute, we've obviously had a piss take about it. We've joked about it. Hopefully we still can, because I think, look, if you don't laugh and you don't joke and you don't try and make a comedy around the situations that you find yourselves in, then you crumble, don't you? So it's been a shit week. Thank you, lads, from the Rugby Pod. I know you've reached out and messaged me, and I've had a lot of people I've also had a lot of people online as well message me, so I appreciate that. It is a tough time. I know, I'll just reiterate, I know people are having tough times out there. It's been a tough week. Probably got another couple of tough weeks in front of me and with the family, but look, that's what it is. And with the help of the pod, the listeners, the viewers, and hopefully a bit of comedy, we can just keep moving forward, eh? No, so I think to try and give a bit of context, it's been a shit week, to put it lightly, but yeah, we move forward.
How are you doing though, mate?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because, you know, there's a part of me, and the way that I've always been is that, you know, death is part of life. Like, I completely get that, and we all hope that we get to the ripe old age of, I don't know, what is the ripe old age? Is it 70? 100. Is it 80? 100. Yeah, exactly. And then, but you think about the Queen. Is that what you get when you're 100? Yeah. Well, I guarantee you ain't seeing me at 6'8", 6'9" with heels, knocking about 100. I wouldn't have thought. So
I don't think I'll make it either, Jim.
Mate, well, listen, let's look at the obvious things here. I don't think either of us are getting to 100. But you know, you start. I think you think about stuff more, don't you? You think about your own mortality when you've got kids and all these things, and you know, you wonder what it's all about, I suppose. So I've been going through a little bit of that process, but look, you know, my wife especially, it's been a really, really tough few months for her, and obviously my mum as well, losing her sister and her mum. So when you put it like that, you're thinking, holy shit. I was going to say Jesus there, but I didn't want to use the pun because I'm not religious. So, but you could maybe use that. But look, again, we're just hoping now that there's light at the end of the tunnel for all of us, because you ask how I am, mate, I'm all right, genuinely. And trying to get back to a bit of normality. And normality is on the podcast, talking shit. I might not be up for talking bush, apart from when we talk about Manscaped. And yeah, trying to get back to a bit of normality. No, so again, Andy Rowe, Tim, Goodey, and the millions of listeners out there and viewers, I appreciate people reaching out. And it's been greatly received. And I'll never forget you.
How are you going, Goodey?
Do you know what? I'm not bad. I generally been worried for Jim. You know, obviously chatting to him every day and seeing how things are. The main worry, obviously, Beck was away with the family and Jim was having to look after all 4 kids. So, you know.
I couldn't moan. It was like, as much as I was like, my word, with everything that's going on, I just had to get the head down, mate. And they ain't happy either. I don't know what your kids are like, Goody, but when mum ain't there, mate, and it's like, dad's the enemy. That's what I found. It's like, dad, where's mum? I'm like, look, kids, please. I will.
What are you feeding them?
The Andy Good diet: waffles, beans, and fish fingers, mate. Fish fingers with no fish. Why are they even called fish fingers? They're actually fish in these fingers. I was eating them. I was like, they don't taste like fish.
I think there's some in there, Jim. Yeah.
It just smells like fish.
Mate, if in doubt, give your kids chips because they love them. That's you know, all they want is chips.
I genuinely said to the twins before bed, if you sleep all the way through, I'll give you 50 grand. That's what I said to them. They didn't sleep. They didn't sleep through, so they ain't getting 50 grand. Not that I've got 50 grand under the bed, but.
Well, big thanks to Freddie Burns for filling in last week, and he's been busy spreading the word about Manscaped this week and sorting out some of his teammates in Japan with some trimmers in time for Christmas. So if you haven't already got yourself sorted yet, what the hell are you waiting for, firstly? And secondly, get yourself or your mates sorted for Christmas. Manscaped are the very best in men's below-the-waist grooming, and they offer precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Yeah, they're flying off the shelves in Japan now. Freddie has made it known to every Japanese rugby player that the amount of bush you have in an onsen, he's just judging. He's judging Freddie, going around Japan, having a look at bush, and he's getting Manscaped out there.
I was pissed at myself when he was talking about it last week because not that I've seen many Japanese men just in their pants, but I can envisage it. I can picture it. For me, be a couple of weeks, I'll be honest, until mine comes back out. But my goodness, when it comes back out, get the bucket because there'll be some collection needed.
Well, if you haven't got yourself sorted yet, just visit manscaped.com and you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code RugbyPod. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and using the code RugbyPod. Your balls will thank you. Well, should we talk about some rugby now? And it went as predicted for you, didn't it, Goodey, at Twickenham?
Yeah, I've got to say something before we start, though. I mean, great, England won, but I'm just looking at all the games. And I don't know whether, we've had a tough week on the pod, obviously, with everything that's going on with Jim and the family and all this stuff, but how shit some of the ruggers.
Oh, it's so depressing, isn't it?
Like it is, it's genuinely, England, unbelievable defensive performance. We're celebrating us not having the ball and how good we are, how many tackles we can make. The games are what they are. Listen, it's great to see rugby on because we moaned about 6 months ago that there was no ruggers on. And I'm watching it now, and I don't know whether it's because there's no fans, and I say it every week, but international rugby, as it is at the minute, I just don't think it's that great. And
do you listen to it? Do you listen to it with the fans or without the fans? Fans.
I haven't watched any of the fucking games, mate, out of this.
Make it up.
Yeah, mate, I have to have the fans on. You got to have the fans because then it sounds a bit normal. But I don't know. It's the quality of rugby. England's dominant, physical, everything that we said. No England fans watching that, apart from Johnny May's try, which was just unbelievable. A lot of the game, there wasn't many highlights. There wasn't much get out your seat and jump for joy. Those moments that you watch international rugby, it was just a calculated, physical
training session. No, I shouldn't say that.
And sometimes, listen, it's great to win, but you just want to see a bit more. But bottom line is, you could be a Welsh fan right now, and the Welsh, yes, they've got their victory over Georgia, but they've just come off the back of 6 defeats. So I don't.
80% of the Welsh team are going on the Lions tour, apparently.
Well, I don't think so, mate. Not at the minute. So yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know whether it's because it's November and the weather isn't that great either, but it's just so difficult to get really excited, even though England are winning and all this stuff, because the games are fairly dull to watch. And I'm just speaking my mind. It's what we think on here. It's a bit of a anticlimax to us beating Ireland. I want to see us attack more, I really do. But then, we're very good at what we do, and we're winning games by not playing too much ruggers, booting the leather off it, and letting Murray go around and smash people. And the back row, Underhill and Curry. I mean, what they make 7,400 tackles or something between them. It's just madness, isn't it? But then you celebrate those, how good we are at those facets of the game.
I actually quite enjoy it. I'm not trying to be the opposite to Goodey. I'm watching it. I like the physical aspects of rugby. That's something that I really enjoy watching. Even the point where I put out a tweet about Quinn Roux. People are like, what are you talking about? Mate, you watch how that bloke was entering rucks. I was loving it. His physicality of smashing England players around the breakdown, I was loving watching it. The scrums, the mauls. But I don't know whether there's an element of all of us that are thinking, because there is no fans, is we're all a little bit down on it, right? We all feel like we should be there. The atmosphere, what is the Autumn Nations Cup? Is it an important championship for these players? Scotland should have been playing New Zealand this weekend, but they're playing France in front of no fans. So
and you lost.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I had France by 9 before the game. I changed it 5 minutes before. Stupid idiot. But yeah, I think How good are England, though? I think that's the point of it. What do you do if you're England? Just do what works. And the physicality that they've got is it's unbelievable. And that's the part that I really enjoyed watching the weekend.
Yeah, we're very good at what we do, which is, our kicking game's on point. Our kick chase is ridiculous at times, and just putting pressure on teams. It's very difficult to see how teams can break us down with the physicality from 1 to 15, and then you bring on boys off the bench as well. The work rate's phenomenal. It just is missing a spark of, apart from Johnny May's worldie of a try, and by the way, his chip kick definitely came off the shin, do you reckon, the way it's gone into the middle of the field. But a hell of a finish. That's exciting. That's what gets you off your seat. But England are very. I don't want to say dour. We're just damn good at playing the percentages.
What else would you want then? What else would you want? Because take the fans out of it, and I know if you look at the Argentina, Australia, the New Zealand games that we've seen, they've been unbelievable. But is that because of everything that is going with it in terms of the atmosphere at the stadiums, the build-up, the fact that the All Blacks aren't as good as they were? Here's one, I forgot to mention it. Well, I didn't forget, I weren't on it last week, but I was thinking about it. When Argentina beat the All Blacks and there was all the pushing and Pablo, hashtag I want to be with Pablo, I want to be Pablo. How cool is that bloke with the moustache as well? See what we did at the weekend as well, make the guy's an absolute hero. When he's pushing the All Blacks, right? And there's the kind of altercation between them and the ref steps in. I said to myself, a bit of argy-bargy. That is the first time I have ever realised that is where argy-bargy comes from. It's from the Argentinians. That's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is.
You're correct, James.
Argy-bargy. Say again, Andrew.
Is it actually where it's from, though?
It was a phrase coined by the great Bill McLaren.
Argy-bargy.
Argy-bargy going on there.
So I love that. Anyway, back to the point. Maybe that's what the England-Ireland game needs. There was a bit, obviously, O'Mahony was going mad at everyone. He's just looking angry, just grabbing people. I enjoyed it, man. You're throwing me a little bit there. I don't know.
No, it's not. I listen. I suppose it's more so just our attack. We're just, bar Johnny May's one to try. I don't see. I just see we're good at crash and bash, and sometimes you want a bit more. When you're winning, you just want to. We could have put 30 or 40 points on an Ireland team had, perhaps we had a bit more ingenuity in attack. But hey, listen, I'm just picking on the fact that we're the best team in the world right now.
You're an elitist.
Yeah, and I just want us to be better. So we're great at what we do, but it's just not getting us all out of our seats and exciting us as much as perhaps we want.
Oh, did I? Well, there you go. Shows how diligent I am with my work, Andrew.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's England are very good at what we do, but you're right. Some teams play into their hands, and maybe Jim, you need to be the Ireland line-out coach, or just get Paulie O'Connell to do it because he was a bit of a ledge as well, wasn't he? I'm reading his book at the minute. Was he hard, Jim, or what? Because I'm reading his book, and he sounds like he's the hardest bloke I've ever seen on the field.
It's his own book, mate. You're going to say that, aren't you, in your own book? Here's one for you. I've tweeted it again around because that's what we do. If he's not tweeting, he's eating. How good are the live shows, lads, when they get back up? Really? My goodness me. I am going full gear. That's all I know when it opens back up. But I put a tweet out about it, about the back row. Now, I know there's a lot of talk around Jack Willis, who again was great for us at the weekend. I saw a few bits of that. Sam Simmons, are you not entertained with the celebration? That we know, right, that international rugby is very different. I think that, again, we've had a bit of time to reflect. I think there's two types of players, right? You get your week in, week out as your Sam Simmons, Jack Willis, these guys doing it every week, and you get your guys at a top level in that aspect. And there's a few of them, right? There's we could name probably 2 or 3 from every team, and then you get your club players. I just think that there is a bigger gap now with international rugby. Now, we had this chat a few times around Sam Simmons, and it comes back to my tweet around, if you're Eddie Jones, who do you swap out? Now, I know that there's one person in that England back row who isn't at the level that they were. I think we can all agree with that a couple of years ago, and that's Billy, right? He's still a fantastic player, world-class player, but in terms of Billy being one of the best players in the world.
He played well at the weekend.
He did, because that is international rugby. Because of what he brings is carrying. He doesn't get smashed back. Whereas you look at Doris, for example, who's been excellent for Ireland, when he was carrying, he was getting melted back. And I think that Sam Simmonds would be similar to Doris in terms of that, my old Doris, carried into traffic and not doing what he does at club rugby. So I'm thinking, like, where in that back row does Sam Simmonds or a Jack Willis, you know, a Don Brandt, maybe not talking about him as much now, because that is the talking point, isn't it? Every single week that goes on and Sam Simmonds is carving up against whoever he's carving up against, you know, half-decent club players or, you know, decent club players and, you know, Harlequins or whatever. But at what point do people stop saying, well, actually, look at what England have got now. There ain't no room for him.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing on it is, and what you can say is, there is a plethora of ridiculous back row talent in England at the minute. So you name them all then. Curry's twin brother's fucking unbelievable as well, just to let you know. You know, obviously Billy at 8 hasn't been playing as well as people think he should play, so that puts pressure on him. But here's one for you. Eddie Jones could pick any of them. You know, Ben Earl come off the bench again. He was banging balls for fun as well, wasn't he, when he came on? What do you reckon to Warren Gatland pick Sam Simmonds and not take Billy Vunipola? How big a call would that be? But you
what are you
see,
saying? What are you saying?
I'm just saying, you could imagine, right? Gatland making a couple of calls just to piss Eddie Jones off, to say, actually, this is
hilarious. It'd be hilarious.
Wouldn't it?
Not at the expense of Billy, but I mean at the expense of Eddie.
Yeah.
If it worked South Africa, it'd be different. But
why don't you just pick England for the whole of the British and Irish Lions team, and then you can't even pick Stuart Ogg this week because he missed a kick to touch. So, you know, just pick an England team to take on South Africa in the summer.
Who can argue?
There we go, James.
Well, do you want to talk about Scotland now then, John? Did you manage to catch that game?
Of course I did, mate. That's the one that I watched properly. And I changed my match point predictor 4 minutes before the kickoff. I had France by 9, and that was my head.
You just couldn't tweet it though, could you? You just couldn't tweet it and back it up.
Well, I tweeted it. I said Scotland, then I changed Scotland by 4.
Well, it's easy to say, I think this, but I'll go with this.
Yeah, I know.
Having real spuds, you just stuck to France by 9.
I should have done. But it's hard, mate. Loyalty is a missing thing in this game now, and I just wanted to bring it back to loyalty. And I should have stuck with my head and the little pea brain that I've got inside my skull, and went with France. There weren't much in it, really.
Oh, mate, Hoggy said for 75 minutes they were in control.
What, as in Scotland were, or France?
Yeah, in his interview, I think he had a bang on the head as well, Hoggy. I love Hoggy, but we can have a bit of banter with him on here. In his interview after the game, he said Scotland were in control for 75 minutes that game. I can't remember which 75 minutes, but he definitely said it.
Yeah. Maybe at 15, the fullbacks might have been in control. But, you know, like, genuinely, there weren't much in it. Physically, and I say physically, it's an easy thing to throw around. What does that mean? So in this match, it was around scrum and line-out more. So where Scotland have been really good in recent weeks, that's where they struggled. Physically, you can say around the tackle area, around the collisions and stuff like that. And to be fair, there weren't much in it, really. Scotland got a couple of opportunities and they never took them. It was as simple as that. And
France did. Hold on. And France did, didn't they? You know, the try that Vakatawa scores, it's a set play. It's a set-piece play. Lovely ball back on the inside to Rattez. And then Vakatawa just finishes it. No one's stopping him. Like, you could climb on his back about 3 or 4 players. But that was the difference, effectively, wasn't it?
And you don't really see tries like that, do you? Now?
No,
you don't really, especially at that level. And I think that's where Scotland will be frustrated most, is that they've conceded a set piece, like Goodey said, like a set try. I mean, looking at the other stuff as well around the game, you know, for me, there's a couple of areas where Scotland are lacking. And again, if we're speaking completely honest here, which we should do, is we need to talk about what I think, and other people might agree, they might disagree. Scotland quality now across the pitch. Front row, second row, great back row. Ali Price at scrum half, got Sam Hadago-Klein, you've got George Horn as well, who's a fantastic player. So we've got strength and depth there. We're down to the third choice of Dunky Weir, who is obviously a good player.
Don't be horrible to Dunky.
I'm not being horrible. He's not a Finn Russell, you know, and he's not so... Like, Finn can make stuff happen when we talk about defences, like Johnny May at the weekend. You look in the Scotland team, we haven't really got anyone else bar Hoggy, but France know how good Hoggy is, so they don't really kick to him. Finn is someone that can make something happen. We saw that in the game against Saracens in the semi-final. Saracens were winning the majority of the game, comfortably, albeit maybe not on the scoreboard. Finn does a chip, boom, game over. That's what we needed against France. We didn't really have that. Now, there's a couple of areas where I think Scotland are thin on the ground, and we haven't quite got to a point where We know who is best in that position. Centre is one. Now, Sam Johnson and Chris Harris played there at the weekend. Who else is there? Who else could we pick? You know, there's not many. Dunky Taylor was on the bench. I thought he was really good when he came on. The other position for me is a ball carrier number 8. Now, Matt Fagerson played, who's Xander's brother, at the weekend. That's the best he's played in a while, but he hasn't nailed down that position. Blade Thompson from Scarlets have been playing there. I don't think he's been up to the level in which we kind of need in the ball carrier number 8. Nick Haling's played there. Now, for me, you look at all the best teams around the world. We'll look at France. You've got Gregory Audrey, who was all right again at the weekend. He was brilliant. You look at all the best teams in the world, their number 8 is arguably in the top 2 or 3 players in the team. At Scotland, we just haven't quite got that. Matt Fagerson's got an opportunity to fill that role. But I think if we're going to take the next step, because, look, France are one of the form teams in the world, and we've done all right. We didn't get hammered. We were in it, apart from the line-out maul and the scrum. We just need to try and find a bit of, we need to try and find a South African 8. Or we need to find someone with a point of difference. In my opinion, someone in the centre with a point of difference.
What's wrong with being Scottish? You want a South African to play 8 for you?
Well, that's what happened. Look at Billy. Obviously, Tom and Descent playing for England. Look at CJ Stander. I know he played 6 on the weekend.
I get it though. Look at Jim Hamilton, Englishman playing for Scotland back in the day.
There you go. We've got Dan van der Merwe on the wing for Scotland. He has a completely different element. Could he play in the centre? I mean, he's now. I don't think he ever has. But I just think, they're the 2 areas that we're lacking. But I thought we were right.
Yeah, a chance at the end to square things up though with Hoggy's kick.
Mate, don't open Hoggy, mate. Mate, he's gone for length. He's gone for Henry Slade, mate. It's all or nothing. And it only would have been for a draw if he would have got that as well. And my match point predictor would have looked slightly better than it does now. So actually, Hoggy, what is going on, mate? Why have you gone for the length? Why have you done it? Mate, Hoggy's, he's captain. He's gone for the length. It was, for me, the maul wasn't working that well. If we got within 5 metres, we might have got an opportunity. Again, I'm not that fussed with Hoggy not making touch, really, to be honest with you. Other people might think differently, but I'm not.
Yeah, Andy Rowe, you're horrible. You're horrible, Andy Rowe. But, Jim, think about how far Scotland have come in a year. Embarrassing at the World Cup last year. People perhaps calling for Gregor's head. Look at Wales, the flip side. People are calling for Pivac's head now. It's all doom and gloom in Wales, but in Scotland, you're celebrating another loss, Jim. It's nice to see. You're positive.
I'm buoyant about the situation that we find ourselves in. I just think we're competing now. But ultimately, when you're playing France and you're playing England and you're playing New Zealand, South Africa, I think the quality of coaches and a culture and having a good defence, having a good line-out, scrum, etc., but you need something. And we saw that with Johnny May, for example. We've seen that with a Dupont and an Audrey and a Bakatawa from France. They've got a few players. Oh, my neck. What about Camel Shat? My goodness.
We say it every time, don't we?
I actually paused it and said to my missus, look at this bloke. I'm quite happy for you to say he's a better man than me. Look at him. Look at the state of him. It's ridiculous. But, ultimately, I think for Scotland to get to the next level, and there's this argument, and I've been back and forth on project players. Duan van der Merwe is a project player from South Africa who's carved up for Edinburgh. Everyone's doing it now. Everyone has got players that are qualifying through residency, whether you like it or not. Rugby's professional now. We want to try and get the best players the opportunity and the whole thing around Dan Leo's documentary, for example, Oceans Apart, and the quality of players that the South Sea Islands produce. They've changed the face of the game. And I think you look at Bill Matter for Edinburgh, who is one of the best players, if not the best player, in the Guinness Pro 14. That's what Scotland need. Scotland needs something, just a bit of X factor, and we're starting to find that. But like I said, in the back row, potentially, or in the centre would be nice.
It's 5 years then now, Jim. It's a long time to want to live in Scotland. 5 years.
It's a great place to live, mate.
It's lockdown. She's built a wall, has she? Apparently, Liquor Station's closed it off.
Well, mate, good job on mountain climbing, mate. I can climb it.
Well, if it's going to be an England v France final, how disappointing would it be if a second-string France side play in that final? Or do you think the Union and the league will have a rethink and let the first-choice players play?
I don't know. Who knows? Obviously French being French, but I understand there's player welfare issues around why they are limiting their players to a certain amount of minutes, certain amount of games. It's a new tournament that's just been thrown in last minute. Let's not get away from that fact that it has. The fixtures came out quite late. Six Nations obviously finished later. But in answer to your question, yeah, you've got England, France, you've got the two best teams in the Autumn Nations Cup comp. You want to see them go full go. You want to see them go full noise. I want all three to play all three against Billy V. I want Olive on. See what he can do against Underhill and Curry. You want the two front rows who are physical as anything around the park and dominant in the scrum going up against it. You want Untamak if he can get back in against Farrell. You want the best matchups to see, because ultimately, when we talk about this French team, bar the Scotland game in the Six Nations where we humped them, ma hump. France have been brilliant. So who knows? You think, Goodey, that they will rules is rules, that laws is laws, as Michael Alford said?
Well, it is a thing. Rules is rules, as you say, Jim, and as Michael Holfey said. But they've named their squad for the Italy game this weekend, and you can't count your chickens, Jim. Johnny May can. You cannot count your chickens before they hatch, right? And Italy haven't won, I don't think, in France since about 1943 or something.
You're not going to tell me you think Italy are going to beat France, though, are you?
I don't, but I'm looking at the French squad now on paper that they've named the squad of 31 for this weekend's game. I'm saying there's a chance for Italy. This is a proper second choice squad, isn't it? I'm not going as far as it's absolute bin juice, it's the Shags, it's whatever. But it is, a lot of the big names that we've got come accustomed to watching, this renaissance of French rugby under Fabien Glasses Gautier. This is a complete change-up, really. There's a couple of boys in there that played at the weekend. Jalibert's still there, but there's no Vakatawa, there's none of the back row stars, Aldry. It is definite second choice. So the only thing I can think of, if you're Sean Edwards, it'll be fucking raging, right? If I want the best team to play fucking England in final if we beat Italy. So he's going to go in and go, listen, fucking hell, pay some fucking money to the clubs and let's have our best fucking players. But you don't know. Only money, I think, can solve it. And if you're a French club, we've seen the standoffs between French club owners and the FFR, the French Federation of Rugby.
So it's not about the laws of players going to play a certain amount of minutes, or it is, but it's to do with the club's ownership of the players. Their league.
Yeah, it's to do with the clubs and what the agreement is between the clubs and the FFR.
Which is fair enough. That's fair enough, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and they've tried to change their model to copy the England model in reality, where the RFU pay a shed load of money to the clubs to get control and release of the players when they want them.
Regulation 9.
Whatever it is, yeah. But the French, obviously, the club owners have stuck to task on this and don't want, to lose them as much as the England clubs. We know in the Premiership, the England boys can only play about 3 of the first 13 or 14 rounds in the Premiership. And the Premiership clubs know that, understand that, and are dealing with it. The romantic in us all wants to see France's first team, if they beat Italy this weekend, come up against England's first team. But it may well be that doesn't happen and the Shags go out and England win by 30. Come on, England. By kicking it and tackling.
Is the 18-0 win over Georgia going to do anything to relieve the pressure on Pivac?
No.
The end.
You know what? I feel really bad saying that because I didn't even watch the game. So that shows how I'm going to say
arrogant you are.
That shows how poor my answers can be sometimes. I've got nothing to back that up apart from a scoreline. So I've not seen the game. I've obviously read the stuff after and I've seen the interviews and what have you. But you're thinking, without being horrible to Georgia, and David Humphreys, when he came on, knew, and we know and everyone knows that every game you get better and better, right? But really, you're thinking, I know Wales had a load of changes, but you're thinking the semi-finalists who could have made the final of the World Cup only a few months ago are better than 18 points against Georgia. I mean,
yeah.
But again, I've got no context. I've got no context because I haven't seen the game. But the pressure is now mounting because even though they won, the confidence, it all comes down to confidence, isn't it? And I'm sure that we'll talk about Leicester winning against Gloucester in a bit. Winning's everything, right? So I know that they've won, but your performances and the energy within camp and the dynamics of your team, and we missed Gatland. Why have we not? Why have we still not got Sean Edwards? And Alan Wynne-Jones is too old. Stop being
horrible to Alan Wynne-Jones.
People will start whispering and they'll start talking in the background. Do you know what I mean? And then you'll get the other clubs and the players that aren't involved and the players that think they should be involved and other coaches, and it becomes this kind of poison chalice. And from everything that I've seen from a superficial angle around Wales, and Paul Wayne Pivac, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're following Gatland, but you're also playing games now with no fans. We know that Wales live and breathe fire from the fans. That is part of what Wales are, because some teams don't look externally and they can get on with it. And we had John Cooney talking about the need for fans for him. That's where he's at his best. Wales as a nation, as a team, always have been, always will be. They are fired up by the crowd. And Paul Wayne Pivac, it's just, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So hopefully, I hope Wales don't get rid of him. I hope that he gets a real opportunity to come good.
It's tough though, isn't it? It was a poor game against Georgia, and then you're playing England this weekend. And as we spoke about before, how hard is it to break down that England team?
Well, they ain't going to beat Wales. They ain't going to beat England. Wales ain't going to beat England. They're just not at that level anymore. They're not. England are just, they're not going to all of a sudden be crap overnight. Their players and their squad are just too good now. And
it could be, all our Welsh listeners, I do apologise, this could be 30 points.
But you just said England don't score tries.
Yeah, we can kick loads of goals, and Johnny May, we can score tries, but we're not scoring loads of them. Maybe this is the game. You're meeting a Welsh team, and I spoke about it earlier when we said about Scotland. Imagine a year ago how bad Scotland were after the World Cup, and how lucky.
They weren't that bad.
The flip side, they lost. They didn't even qualify.
We beat Russia and Samoa. We nailed them.
But look at Wales now, who were on such a high. Potentially could have got to that World Cup final, and they've just gone completely the other way. So
what you can see happening, Goodey?
What?
Sean Edwards coming back and taking charge of the team as the boss.
Fucking no chance. I'm France coach till I fucking die.
I'm gonna sit back, Pivac.
I'm fucking French coach till 2023. I don't think he's not a head coach though, Sean, is he? He's not a head coach.
Well, we can catch up now with a friend of the show who should have been playing in the Autumn Nations Cup this weekend, but who's been twiddling his thumbs indoors instead. Fiji winger Nemani Nadolo joins us. How are you, mate?
G'day, guys. Good, mate.
Nemani, we can get on to asking how you're feeling. Naturally, we're not going to see you on a beach doing this call with us because you're locked up in your room. Well, firstly, let's talk about that. How are you all? Because I think that's the question that a lot of people are wondering. There's a lot of you guys that have got the dreaded COVID, as it were. How is everyone feeling in camp?
Oh, mate, it's tough. Don't get me wrong. It's, we're probably, we've, 2 games now cancelled. Obviously, third one next week in Scotland. So, we're all together at the moment, which is good, and we're in high spirits. But mate, it's tough. I mean, me individually, me personally, it's being locked up in a room, and it sort of it takes its toll. But look, we're all positive, and we've got WhatsApp groups and stuff, helping each other out, and having laughs and whatnot on there. So we're doing all right now.
Are you by yourself in your room, or have you got a roommate? Do you see anyone else, or just talk to us about what it means being in quarantine in a hotel?
Yeah, it's like with anything else. So we get our own rooms. I think that was part of the, I think everyone involved in this competition has their own room, and obviously isolation. As everyone's heard, the red that a lot of us have contracted it. We just isolate. We stay in our rooms and follow the rules over here, which is I think 10 days or 14 or 10 days 10 days isolation. And look, the food comes to you and everything else comes to you. So you got to clean your room as well. So they bring a bag full of new bed sheets and So yes, just it's you're on your own really. But it's an experience, I guess. To be fair.
And just one of the things that people might not know. I know there's loads of cases that have come out of the Fijian team, and you can't talk about other people. But can we ask you? Did you test positive yourself? No. Does anyone know where it's really been picked up from? I'm still blaming Chris Robshaw from the Barbarians week.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'll tell you what, those boys that are involved with the Barbarians are, they're still talking about it now. But no, we're all, I'm all good. So hit 90% of the team. But it is what it is. So.
Yeah, and it's a real shame. Look, regardless of what the details are or how it's been contracted, it obviously shows how contagious it is. But I think from a rugby fan point of view, and you'll be able to talk to us about this, because Fiji have been waiting for an opportunity in one of these big tournaments, right? And now was the kind of time to shine and to do stuff under Vern Cotter, a really settled coaching team now. The fact that you've gone back into the team as well just shows the ambition that they've got. How hard is that? Have you had time to reflect on that? Has that been spoken, or is it just trying to get everyone better and get out of quarantine? Or has there been a time for reflection and been like, wowzers, like you just could not have scripted this?
Yeah, look, leading into it, we were all, we were all excited about, about the new squad. There's a lot of young guys come in as well, and then we've got a good balance of the old guys. I myself come back in and being one of the oldest guys in the team, but the coaching staff, the way they've conducted themselves and the way they've just gone about things, it's completely different to my 10 years being involved with the squad. And that's what excites us. We were actually trained really well leading up to France, and we had a sense of belief, really. The back line that we were going to put out was, we were all excited.
Ridiculously good, eh? Oh,
it's every backs coach dream, to be fair. Obviously I'm in it, but them and Tui and stuff involved. So, but the excitement level was there. We actually come into this competition with the genuine chance that belief that we could do really well. And it just sucks watching it on TV, and seeing these teams play, and we're cooped up in our rooms. But what Vern and his coaching staff have brought in. It's it's exciting. It's new, and they're giving us more license to just be Fijian rugby players. Play what's our strengths, which is play, but bring in a bit of structure, but not too much, which is good for us. So we're here now, and I guess it's just all talk now. So it's sad to see, to be fair.
And just with it all, for people that perhaps don't know, obviously the game against Scotland this weekend's been cancelled coming up, but there might be a chance still of playing a game the following weekend. Has that been anything been spoken about within that? Because listen, mate, for everything you boys have done and gone into isolation, the light at the end of the tunnel would be one game against anyone, just to get that shirt on, and especially yourself coming back from kind of the international retirement. It'd be a massive thing to do, right?
Yeah, 100%. So from what we've been told, we're still go ahead until something else comes up. But from what we know, we're still involved right to the end. So there's a bit of light there. But like I said, like we've had in the last few weeks, and it's just week by week. So if this was called off, I guess we would have been home already by now. But no, we're at this stage. We know we still got a game in hand. So hopefully the stars align, and we can actually get on the rugby pitch and show our worth.
Fingers crossed. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about Vern and Richie Gray and the coaching team. I know I've missed a couple of the coaches' names out there as well, but what's it like being a Fijian coach? Because I understand, you look at Fiji, so you look at Fiji as a commentator or a person in the media or as a fan, you'd be like, they're unbelievable in the backs and their forwards' ability to offload. Where they struggle, a bit of the scrum, bit of the line out. If they could only get that, they'll be, a top 5 team in the world. Now, there's an element of that where culturally, that isn't really how you play. But I'm interested to know what Vern's brought in, because I worked with him at Scotland a little bit. I don't know if you know, he dropped me from the Scotland team in 2015. Should have been a 2-step lob against Australia. Could have been very different for Scotland. But from what I've heard, I know that he emotionally embeds himself into an environment. So my question being, just going back to it, has Vern done that with the Fiji team? Because I imagine it's a very different way of life culturally than it would be with Scotland, for example. Yeah,
100%. I think, not only Vern, but all the coaching guys, the one thing they've got involved in is embracing who we are. I think, that's whereas, you know, when I say embrace who we are, like being in our meetings, being in our church, when we have team church, and just getting involved in the culture and asking questions, and there's things that we're doing that's connected to our culture that they're really behind, which is great. And, you know, that for me is massive for the team. The boys see that, and you know, it doesn't take much for us to you know, get someone to play for you. So, you know, he's a touch in that sense. Rugby-wise on the field, you know, he's coached in France for a long time. So majority of our boys here in France know him, you know, and so he brings that sort of, that aura about him. And no, it's going really well. Then, you know, you obviously got Glenn Jackson, who's the backs coach there, and Gibbo, who's here as well as Jay Strino from the Crusaders. So, you know, and they're all embracing, they're bringing their things in, as well as, you know, taking what we bring to the table in terms of, you know, who we are as people, which is good to see. I think that goes a long way. In the past, we've probably had coaches who have just come and just coached, and, you know, it's easy to lose a player, regardless in where you're at, you know, whether you're playing here or at clubland. So, you know, that was exciting because we were actually building towards this first game. And I can tell you, mate, I've never had that same feeling. I've never had that feeling ever in my Test career playing for Fiji. So wow. That's probably the most disappointing part, not being able to play with all that, you know, emotion. So hopefully we'll get to see that at the end.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And then you mentioned culture and everything around Fijian players and Fijian family and everything there. One of the big cultural things that every team that I've played with Fijians has had is carver nights and singing songs and everything collectively. How hard's that been when you're isolated? Do you manage to do it on balconies where you can have some carver still and kind of everyone has their own pot, or is it more a case of literally you just cannot have anything like that at all and you can't even sing together?
Nah, unfortunately, like you say, carver's big in our, you know, in our culture and who we are as people. What brings us together is, I guess it's like the Brits going down to the pub for a pint, you know. And,
yeah.
It's hard. The rules, you know, you got to stay in your room. So there's a few boys here who love the carver and are struggling at the moment. But, you know, we've got to follow the rules and you know, stick by them. So, you know, we don't have long to go. There's a few more days before most of the boys come out and we can actually start training and get involved and, you know, just socialise a bit, which has, you know, sort of been tough in this tour because, mate, we literally have come in to camp and have just gone, it's like being in jail. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And you've got a few days left, like you've just said then, in isolation quarantine. Dan Leo's brought out a documentary, Oceans Apart. Have you had time to watch that? Are you going to watch it? If you have, what are your views on it?
Mate, to be fair, I took part in it a few years ago, or a year ago. Look, it's a strong documentary. Am I ready to watch it now? No, I haven't watched it, to be honest. I think I'll find the time to, you know, when I get home and find the time to properly watch it. You know, it's a strong documentary. I think it's going to, you know, especially for guys like us who are involved in that world, it I wouldn't say it hurts, but it's, you know, there's a lot of emotions that go through it. So, you know, I've heard a lot of good things about it. And, you know, I've heard a lot of good things about it. But, mate, I'll find the right time to do it. Probably not now, but, yeah, it's crazy.
You mentioned home then as well. Obviously, we spoke to you after you just moved to Leicester. You've got a newborn baby. You know, you're very close, obviously, to your better half, your good lady. How have they coped as well without you? Loads of FaceTimes as well, I can imagine. The baby seems to be growing up pretty quickly, eh?
Yeah, it's crazy, mate. So you've gone on 6 months next week. They're roughly, get this, so when I get back, they're heading home for Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, when it rains, it pours, eh?
Yeah, 100%. So that's what's happening at Leicester at the moment, apparently. But mate, it's tough. It's even, look, if we were playing rugby games here and stuff, it'd be awesome, you know, take my mind off it. But I think being in lockdown and isolation, you know, you guys know what it's like having kids and being away from them. It's kind of like you said, when it rains, it pours. So, you know, I've been stuck to just FaceTiming and stuff. And now getting to a point, she's sort of sick of me calling, you know, every hour, checking up on the baby. So But hopefully we get out of isolation. I can get off her back and leave her alone for a few hours.
Well, there's a great documentary series on Netflix called Up Shit's Creek. No pun intended with that either, but it's quite a good laugh. 20-minute episodes are quite good. You mentioned something about Leicester then. You just said that that's all that's happening at Leicester is a newborn baby that's probably the size of Manu now, and it's probably going to be as good as well. But as we know, and as we've all seen, Geordan Murphy's gone. I was a little bit shocked to hear about Geordan going. People that I have spoken to aren't. They could see it coming, and this is away from Leicester. So just initially, what have your initial thoughts been at Leicester? The results haven't gone the way. Clearly, there was huge problems before you joined. But as me and Goodey and yourself now know, Leicester are a massive club, right? A huge club, and they deserve to be back at the top when everything's right and everything's in line. But Geordan Murphy leaving, how has that been received? Was it a bit of a shock?
Oh yeah, massively for me. I mean, I've only been in the job for 6 months, well, not even that, and job cuts all around. But no, look, I was surprised and shocked. I haven't, I haven't spoken to Geordie personally yet. I will when I get back, but yeah, I guess that's the club's decision at the end of the day, and I just hope he's. It's kind of hard for me because I've been over here and trying to, sort out here as well. But look, he's been at the club, I think, 24 years. It's crazy for that to happen. So I didn't see it coming, to be fair. But then again, I'm sort of bloke that just puts my head down and gets on with it and whatnot. But I was shocked. But, that's a club's decision at the end of the day. And I think moving forward, if that's what they think, then, it is what it is.
And how have you found Steve Borthwick? Because obviously he's a very different coach to Geordan, isn't he? He's, obviously forward dominated, but he is, someone that is meticulous about the details of coaching and everything that goes with it. The boys obviously got a good win at the weekend, first up against Gloucester. You've been in touch with a few of them?
Yeah, so, I've been in touch with Steve. He's just checking in here and there. And obviously Aled Walter's a trainer. We all know why he's checking in, but
how's that going?
Yeah, it's actually not too bad, mate. I've actually lost more weight. So
yes, get in.
I put it on my Instagram the other day. No one believed me, but no, he's good, mate. Steve, I think what Steve brings, he's got a great rugby brain. Knows a lot about rugby. Technical stuff. He's just knows everything, and but no, it's good to play under Steve. It's for me, he just gives me the license to do it, obviously on the field, to do my stuff and, within the team for what we're trying to achieve, I guess. He's good. I didn't play against him. No, I did. I played against him a few times. Well, once, I think. But no, he's good. I think what he brings to Tigers, a lot of the boys down there are, he's making them work hard and, he gets what he wants, which is good. So we don't train too long, but we train hard, and that's the good thing about it. I mean, that's the one thing I love. Not too hard, not too long,
not too hard, mate. I heard it.
You can say it.
I'm with you, man.
I'll probably get in trouble for that.
So with that as well, as he's laid out the ambitions for the season, as he said, look, we need to become a top 6 team, or is it game to game? Because even when he came in last year, and as we saw, you were a part of it, and I thought you were brilliant actually playing for Leicester with the physicality and the way that they probably wanted you to play. But the results weren't there. Big win, like Goodey said, against Gloucester at the weekend. Massive win. Not a big win, it's a massive win. They absolutely destroyed them. As he said to you lads, look, this is where we need to get to.
Yeah, I think, the win on the weekend, I think maybe a lot of... He hasn't... Well, I haven't been there just now, but I know when we were there, we were talking about growing... and growing the team and the place where we want to get to. It's going to take time, and I think the win on the weekend, a lot of guys were a lot of fans, I guess, were surprised with the win, but that's just accumulation from all those other games from last season. I think the way that he went about it last season, with all these games, breeding new players into the field. I think we had 15 guys we debuted.
Yeah, you can see that.
A lot of people saying we're going to struggle, but mate, that's one. I think the intelligence that Steve's got is, that win on the weekend is everything that's come from last season. So we weren't surprised. I know, we know it's more of the direction we're trying to head to, and we saw that on the weekend, which was really good to see, and hopefully we can carry it. And, that's a plan.
All right, Nemani, well, thank you very much for joining us, mate, and hopefully we see you guys out of quarantine and back on the pitch sooner rather than later.
Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it, guys.
Mate, what an absolute legend he is.
What a shame. I'm gutted, especially with him dangling the carrot there as well about Fiji being primed. And we know the players that they've got the coaching set up, but mate, feel for them, mate. Blame Rob Shaw. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, mate, he's a hell of a bloke. But actually, I know you've had issues with Vern before, but Fiji need someone like Vern, don't they? And when he talks about having Glenn Jackson in there as well and Daryl Gibson, these are proper top-tier coaches that are involved.
And Richie Gray did the South Africa breakdown as well.
Yeah. So, they could have made a massive difference. And lo and behold, hopefully they come out of lockdown, everything's good. They get to play that last game. Jeez, my God, you wouldn't fancy playing them, would you? Imagine playing against the likes of Nemani or Ratu, or just call him the Chief. He's been locked up for 2 weeks. Locked up, he's going to take your head off and he's just going to score tries for fun. And then you add in the rest of them. It's the best back line in the world, I reckon that is.
I've always said Fiji are my second team. I love the way that they play. They're everything I wasn't. That's probably why. They're everything that rugby needs. And back to your point on the way that England play, I think that, whenever you watch Fiji, whether or not it's the sevens or the 15s, they're just an absolute joy to watch. So it is a real shame. Just hopefully they're all healthy, and they come out of it. And we get to see them on the pitch just for the one time.
Let's get your predictions now for the Guinness Match Pint Predictor this weekend then, with free pints in pubs sadly temporarily off the table right now. Match Pint and Guinness have teamed up to offer the overall winner of each round an ultimate Guinness game day bundle, which includes cans for the game, Guinness glasses, a rugby ball to chuck around, Deliveroo vouchers, and some other awesome snacks, as well as a heap of Guinness stash. Whoever's winning the Rugby Pod League at the end of round 3 will be sent one of those bundles for the final round of games as well. Over 4,500 Rugby Pod listeners are in our league already. And if you want to join them, just download the Matchpoint app from all good app stores, predict the winner and the margin of each game, and use the code RugbyPod to join our league. Jack Ferguson is top of the league at the moment on 127 points. Goodey's in 300th. What about you, Jim? Where are you, mate?
Where are you, son?
I can't be that low down. I've only got one result wrong, which was the Scotland-France game.
Are you, my friend?
Tell me.
Well, this is what you said, Jim, because you said, you went with your head, then your heart, then you just went with your heart and voted for Scotland. Do you remember you ridiculed me over the Six Nations when I was just going with my heart of what I actually wanted to happen?
You were finished near the bottom. You were like 4,500 or something.
Same thing, Jim. Same thing. Right now, it's happened to you. You are down in... You are down in 1,183rd. How shit are you, Jim?
Top half the table. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. So you just backed Scotland and you should have backed France. So.
I could pull a big one out this weekend and go Wales to beat England, but then I'd be going. Well, I wouldn't even be going heart or head. I'd be going foot if I went for that.
All right. Let's get your picks in. Wales, England, Jim.
I can't see Wales getting 30 put on them. But I can see them getting 20 put on them. So I'm going England by 20.
Oh, yeah. I'm going England by... It's in Cincinnati, though, isn't it?
I'm going to change.
It's too late now. I'm going to go England by 16.
15. Oh.
England by 16, I think.
By 16. Okay. France v Italy.
Do you know what? I might just go Italy by 2.
What?
It's the France Shags, mate. It's the France Shags.
I don't care. I'm going to go France by 8.
Ireland, Georgia.
Ireland by 30. A solid 30-point win for Ireland.
35. Ireland, obviously.
Well, we're going to have a chat about the Premiership now, but first, massive thanks to Lovell, who are with us again this week. They're offering all Rugby Pod listeners 15% discount when you use the code at Lovell Rugby to grab yourself a new pair of boots or some kit. Just use the code RugbyPod15 at the checkout and you'll receive the discount on a wide range of boots, replica and training wear. So just head to lovellrugby.co.uk to check it out and use the code RugbyPod15 for 15% off.
Do they sell any fitness gear on Lovell Rugby? Because lockdown, gyms are closed still. I feel I need to do some extra fitness, Jim. What are you doing at home?
Extra.
Well, just some fitness.
I've been training hard at home. I've got a watt bike and I've got a punch bag that I pretend to Ebenezer in the dangling there. Come on.
Do you tickle the life out of it as well?
Well, I just
push it like a...
Just hold it, hug it, and look angry at it. I'd say I probably do need some more gym gear. It's stinking my stuff, Goodey, but I love how you say extra fitness. You mean just fitness?
Just some. Yeah. But it's if you do nothing, it's extra, right?
Context.
Well, we didn't talk about it last week because we were waiting for you to get back, Jim. But what do you guys made of Geordan Murphy's exit from Leicester?
Goodey, what's happened, mate? Did you see it coming or not? I mean, I didn't see it coming, but now it's Kane. I should have seen it coming.
I think it boils down to the fact that Jordan's contract was coming up at the end of the season, and I think he just went in for a conversation and said, "Listen, my contract's up at the end of the year. What's happening? What are your plans? Am I involved long term? I know Steve Borthwick's come in, etc., etc." There's been huge changes at that club, hasn't there? So, the CEO's changed. Simon Cohen's left. There's, big things changed on the board. We saw Rory Underwood. We saw Rory Underwood leave a few weeks ago as well. And Jordan's asked the question, and in reality, I think they said to him, "We're not looking to extend your contract." From what I understand, and Jordan's put 23, 24 years of unbelievable service into that club, be it as a player, as a kid, coming through to captain it, winning all the trophies he did, and then moving into the coaching department and earning his stripes there as, I think he called himself a professional cone collector to start off with, and learn and built up to eventually being the guy that took over as director of rugby. And it's tough on him. Let's not put all of the issues that Leicester have had at Jordan's door, because I don't think many of them could be attributed to him. A lot of it has been the recruitment, as we've spoken about on here before, the quality of player that's left and not been replaced, and where they've gone with their recruitment. And that wasn't anything to do with Jordan, but he landed in the job, and I'm speaking as, he's a very good mate of mine. So obviously I'm going to defend him slightly, but when you ask a question, which he did, about extending his contract, and the club say, well, we're in tough financial times as well. So, do they want a director of rugby and a head coach at the club, both earning good wages? Well, you've seen the answer. And they said they're not going to extend it. So they agreed to part company. And, it's a real shame for Jordan that he doesn't get some sort of send off. But I think once they've made that decision as a club to say, look, we're not going to extend your contract, what impact could he have on the club this year, when everyone that's making those decisions probably knew that anything that he said wouldn't have a long-lasting weight behind it, because they're seeing that he's leaving. So it's a massive shame. I think he's going through a legal process at the minute, how much he gets paid out. I hope he gets everything that he's owed, because that would be the only way of kind of thanking him for the 23 years of service. You've got a contract, a year left. Don't negotiate, Leicester. Just pay him what he's owed for that. Shake hands and, you walk away. And, unfortunately, we've seen Cockers did a wonderful job at Leicester, but he's left. There's a lot of people that have worked tirelessly at that club, love that club. But sometimes you need a change. And, Jordan will be the first to admit that his tenure as director of rugby and head coach has been, difficult, where they finished in the league. And, I don't hold him responsible for a lot of that, because, the players that he's had there are as good as, what he's had, and that's where they finished in the league.
That's the hardest thing about it, is his legacy, because as a player, he's one of the best players in the Northern Hemisphere that we've ever seen, both for Ireland, but in club rugby, he's the most decorated player there is.
So
that's what I was going to say. Goodey was at Leicester with him, and what he's won as a player, and that's not, is it tarnished? It's not tarnished, but you talk about a legacy. So you look at someone like Paul O'Connell with Munster and Ireland and the Lions, unbelievable, right? When you actually look at what he's done. Then you look at Jono, what he done with Leicester, with England, with the Lions, and then he coaches England. And there's a small part, just a small part, not with me, because Jono's Jono, didn't wear a gum shield. Jono's Jono, and I love him. I love the bloke. But there's a small part of his reputation that would have been tarnished because of England, because we all wanted Jono to be the England coach, because it's Jono. And there'll be a small part of that with Geordie, but not from us, but just because it tarnished his legacy, because he was such a legend for Leicester, such a legend, and the club has just been on the decline, and he's been picking up the pieces for year on year on year. It's sad that he's gone, but
massively, yeah.
Yeah, like it is. It's sad. Do you think he'll get back into coaching, Goodey?
I don't know. I know he's got another kid on the way, so I've had a chat with him. He wants to go to Vegas, to be honest, but we can't go because of lockdown. But I hope he gets some time with the family, because he has worked his absolute arse off at that club. He was first in, last out, day in, day out. And I know that put pressure on the family because of his complete commitment to Leicester Tigers. And that's the way he wanted to go about his business at the club and be the person that was running the show and working as hard as he could. So it wasn't a lack of effort. But you hope he has some time now with the family. And who knows, that's the perils of being a director of rugby or a head coach. At some point, everyone gets the boot, don't they? It sounds harsh, but it's a reality of being a head coach. Either your contract comes to an end or you get sacked, and nothing lasts forever. And you think of all the coaches that have been at all the clubs. Eventually, they all move on. And for Geordan, I just remember him as a wonderful bloke at that club. Put a smile on a lot of people's faces. Was very outgoing and friendly to absolutely everyone. And he's had 23 years of sterling service. Of course, I hope he gets back in the game somewhere. But it wouldn't surprise me if he looks for something else to do as well.
What did you make of Austin Healy's comments on calling Steve Borthwick a robot?
Yeah, I saw some bits on social media around it. Borthwick is one of them guys, massively respected him as a player. I came into Saracens for him. I think he chose me as his predecessor. Thank you, Borthwick. Thank you.
Mate,
Thank you very much.
Do you know what? And with that, that's a little bit like Alex Ferguson picking David Moyes because he knew he was going to be shit.
Oh, mate, I'll take it anyway. I'm not a fan of Moyes, I'll be honest, because I'm Man United fan. But I suppose it is a little bit like that. But you hear the way that Borthwick speaks. He's got a kind of dulcet tone. I think it's not even up for debate. It is. But for everything that I've heard, he's an elitist. Everywhere he's gone as a coach, he's done really well. Look at Japan under Eddie Jones. The fact that he gets fast-tracked to coach the Lions and England, and he was one of the only England coaches that stuck it out for as long as he did under Eddie Jones. And there was talk. Remember when he nearly went to Bristol as well?
He did. He went there for about a week.
Yeah, he went there for a week, had to get out of his contract. And look, Leicester need a forward at the helm, I think, because if they want to go back to the identity that they had, and from everything that I'm hearing, he's a bloody good coach, and he's elitist. He's got high standards. Obviously, my best mate, Brett Deacon's there for now. Who knows?
Who's your best mate?
Andy Deacon, Andy Goodey Deacon, mate. So, I mean, look, Austin is from the same mould as Goodey, as in Leicester's his club, probably more so than Goodey, because Goodey had 10 other clubs off the back of it, whoever paid him most, whereas Austin stayed loyal to that club. So there's a part of him that probably thinks he could do better. That's Austin for you. But I don't know what you think, Goodey.
I think the hard thing on it is, Borthwick, and I think when you look at Austin's comments, he's probably trying to say, listen, Borthwick is super intense. He is robotic in how hard he works, and no one will work harder than Borthwick from what you hear around the game. But in an international camp, that's very different to doing it for 52 weeks of the year as a head coach of a club. And I think that's where perhaps Austin meant those comments, because you have to live with the ups and the downs. You can't be 110% every day of your life in the Premiership, especially this season when it's week in, week out. There's no weeks off in terms of it's just Premiership and Champions Cup, or for Leicester, it will be the Challenge Cup. There's no down weeks, so you can't be 100% intense every day of your life. And
they had beers. They had beers in the change room after the game.
Well,
it's good. On social.
Yeah, I think Borthwick was counting the calories in those as well. But no, is he a robot? He's not someone that comes into a room and is full of banter and all that stuff. But then that's why maybe he's so successful and so committed to being such a good coach, because that's what drives him. Attention to detail. Anyone that's worked for Eddie Jones for the length of time that he did, you ain't going to have a personality, are you? Just do as you're told and work as hard as you can. So, listen, I wish Borthwick all the best. I want to see Leicester doing well. I think anyone that's played at the club, and has an affinity to that club, has been really sad at how bad Leicester have been over the last few years and the demise of it. So, they started pretty well against Gloucester. You hope that, they can bounce back and, not get back to the top straight away, because it will take a long period of time. But, you know, you want a decent Leicester team competing week in, week out, and they haven't done that for a few years now.
Yeah, what did you make of that game against Gloucester?
They had a great pre-season, apparently, Gloucester. It was all looking good in pre-season.
Sips, just blame Sips.
Yeah, all my best mate, Rafe. Me or the best mate. Gosh, you look at the team. You look at the team for me. I don't think that. Well, I suppose you look at Leicester's team as well. It's a hard one for me. It's a hard one because Gloucester have had a lot of changes as well, haven't they? And that's there for all to see. But to get that many points put on you at Leicester, who have been awful, does that show how good Leicester are now? And Leicester have obviously signed a few players, got some South Africans in the team now, which any team should do. Or does it show how bad Gloucester are going to be this year? Because if you're getting that many points put on you at Leicester, who, if Saracens weren't relegated, would have been comfortably relegated last season, does that mean that Gloucester are going to get relegated this season?
Mate, why are you being horrible, Jim?
Because Newcastle beat Bath. So I'm like, who's going to get relegated this season?
I think the big thing, I can't imagine there's anyone going to get relegated this year. I reckon they'll ring fence it. But I think the big thing in reality is with the topsy-turvy nature of a short pre-season, England internationals can't be there. There's other internationals that are all away at the minute as well. You can see any results this year, can't you? Apart from anyone beating Exeter, I can't see anyone doing that. But you can see teams like Newcastle winning away down at Bath. No one would have predicted that. They lost to Ealing Trailfinders a couple of weeks ago, but hell of a performance. On paper, people would have looked at the Leicester-Gloucester game and go, well, that Gloucester team should beat Leicester the way Leicester were. You're going to see loads of these topsy-turvy results. And, it's such a shame that Gloucester lost at Leicester. No, it's not, because I like Leicester. But what about Wasps? We win again.
Lucky.
We win again. How are we lucky, Jim?
Flukes.
How are we lucky?
Just flukes,
How are we
mate.
lucky?
Just
blame it on the Willis
bloke. Exactly. You're lucky you got them. That's what I'm saying.
And his brother, mate. That's not a fluke. They've come through the academy.
I didn't say fluke. I said lucky. Did I say fluke?
Well, yeah. He's lucky and fluke. It's all the same.
Lucky you've got the Willis brothers. And you've got, what's that back row called who follows me?
Barberry.
And you've got that barbarian bloke as well in the back row who's sitting people down for fun.
He's about 12 as well. He's hard, I reckon.
Is he a Cobskin or not?
He's a skin. I don't know where he's from, but
he's from Cobb.
Got some skin, let me tell you.
Great word for Newcastle as well.
Mate, just my old clubs doing the business. Leicester, Wasps, Newcastle. Even Worcester won. I think all my old clubs won at the weekend.
I'm happy.
I'm happy.
I'm happy for Newcastle because I didn't want to see them go another season just getting hammered every week, regardless of where we find ourselves with no fans and it being a crazy year. I just didn't want to see Newcastle getting my humped every week. And Bath, good last year. Bring back Freddie Burns.
Yeah, I agree. Bring him back.
And what's happened to Quins this year?
Quins? It was close.
Was it?
No, it wasn't. No, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? It is Exeter Chiefs though, and Sam Simmons and the rest of them. They're quality, but I feel for Guzzi because he's a quality coach. But he must be. Well, he is knocking his head off the wall because all his hair's coming out again. So, what do you do for Guzzi? What do you do for Guzzi?
Do you listen to Guzzi's interviews after?
He's a philosopher, mate. He's like a philosopher's stone.
Yeah, and he literally dictates the whole game back to him, blaming his players, which is right. I think it's just the players. Blame the players. Quins. How are you? 33 points to 3 at home on day one of the season. But I did say topsy-turvy. It could be topsy-turvy.
Don't judge them yet. We won't judge them yet. We'll judge them 3 games in. We'll do that. We'll judge them 3 games in.
Do you guys want to do a top 4 for this season and who's going to go down?
Yeah.
Saracens been relegated, haven't they, Jim?
Well, no, I'm putting Saracens in the top 4. So Saracens 1. I'm going to go Exeter, Bristol, Sale. Oh, who am I going to go? Who am I going to go? I don't know who's going to be 4th.
Are you mental?
Why?
Who nearly won it a few weeks back?
Oh, God, then I'll put Wasp 4th then.
Go on, Jim! Go on, Jim!
Oh, well, I'm being horrible. I actually couldn't think of Wasp then, to be honest, yet. So I'm going to go Exeter, Sale, Bristol, and Wasps. 2, 3 and 4 might look different. And then relegation, you know what? I can't say Gloucester, but I could easily say Gloucester.
Oh, really?
That's enough.
He said it.
Worcester.
You said it.
Oh, why being horrible to Worcester? They beat
All right,
London Irish
Gloucester.
11-10.
Gloucester then.
Goodey, who you got top 4 and who's going down?
I'm going the same top 4 as Jim. Unfortunately, we agree. So
No, it's not unfortunate.
Exeter. I'm going to go Wasps to finish second.
No doubt.
Sale and Bristol third and fourth. Going down. I feel really horrible saying this.
You're going to say Newcastle, aren't you?
I'm going to say Worcester. Horrible.
Oh, that's because they picked Donkey Wormy on Pivac ahead of you. That's the best 10 to play for Worcester.
So I don't think anyone goes down this year. I think they'll end up ring fencing it. Saracens may not play a game and get Saracens may not play a game and get promoted, or they may play games. I think we'll see a 13-team league next year. So, yeah, all I know is Saracens ain't in the top 4 again, Jim.
Well, before we get to the good, the bad and the ugly, Budgie Smuggler are on board with us again this week, so keep your weirder than weird fish stories coming in on social media to be in with a chance to win a pair of limited edition Budgie Pod Budgies. And this week's winner is Ian Robbo, who got in touch after Freddie's story last week about his cultural experience in the Japanese onsen. He says, in Japanese, Bushido means the way of the warrior, and it was the code of honor for the samurai. Now we know why. Congratulations, Ian. You win a pair of limited edition Rugby Pod Smugglers, and keep your weirder stories coming in, everyone. And Budgie have got you covered for Christmas. There's a solid selection of rugby smugglers available online from teams like Fiji and Northampton Saints. There's exclusive player pairs from England's Jack Noel and Alice Genge's Baby Rhino Foundation. And there's a pair especially designed for all the bin juice out there as well. There's loads more, including their winter range of hoodies, underwear, t-shirts, and our very own Rugby Pod masks. So give the gift of smuggling this Christmas. Just visit budgiesmuggleruk.com and use the code PODPODPOD to get free next day delivery. Right, let's finish things off, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Suns are on board again this week, aren't they, Goodey?
Yeah, it's the one thing that's really helping Jim out over the last few months. The bush on not only his face with the moustache, but on the top of his head. It's a saviour, isn't it, Jim, Suns?
Well, define saviour. If you're talking about looking cool as shit because I've accepted the problem that was presented to me by no fault of my own, then yeah, you're right. I'm well happy. Look at that. Quick flash, quick flash, quick flash. Now, if you saw that on video, you'd know that I'm looking all right. Like Gregory Audrey, I'm all right. Thank you, Suns.
Suns is a men's health brand that's helping guys with one of the key issues that they don't often talk about, how to keep their hair. They do this by offering free online consultations with GPs, providing a range of licensed and medically proven products for preventing and treating hair loss, and delivering via a monthly or 3 monthly subscription service direct to your door. They get results in 9 out of 10 men, and you can take the consultation in less than 2 minutes. Results can be seen from 3 months, and their 3-month plans are the most cost effective. November is the time to give it a try, as well as they're running a cyber promo on all their 3-month plans. Just visit suns.co.uk and use the code RugbyPod20 to get 20 quid off your first order. That's SONS.co.uk, and the code is RugbyPod20. So go and check them out and show hair loss who's boss.
Yeah, loads of good as ever in the world of rugby. Let's start off in the Guinness Pro 14 though, and Leinster, surprise, surprise, get another mention in the good. They equalled the record for the most consecutive bonus point wins in the Pro 14 with their 7th in a row against Cardiff Blues. Must have been the Leinster under 13s this week because the 14s were a bit tired from the week before. Let's move to the Premiership, the Gallagher Premiership. And it's so good to be able to put Leicester Tigers in the good. They don't win the good, but they get a mention. And hopefully they can kick on now after pulling Gloucester's pants down 38-15. A hell of a win for them.
We didn't mention with Leicester, hell of a signing, Richard Wigglesworth. Could be a game changer for them.
Yeah, he might get banned though this week because of obviously the Barbars stuff. So
they're buggered then.
Watch this space. What else is good? Sam Simmons. I mean,
are you not entertained?
Exactly. Eddie should be in the England squad, Eddie. But a 3rd Premiership hat-trick for him. Outstanding performance. And what about the wheels for that try? Danny Kerr, did you see him? He just stopped. Didn't want to tackle him, did he? Just pulled out.
Why are you saying that he doesn't want it for Quins anymore? I mean,
why being horrible, Jim? So Sam Simmons gets a tip of the slipper. Here we go. Here's one for you, Jim. In the Good this week, doesn't win the Good, but gets mentioned back to the Guinness Pro 14. Harmay Fiver. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, Harmay Fiver, yeah.
Yeah. Harmay Fiver or Harmay Fiver scored a hat-trick for Benetton away at the Ospreys. And that was his third in the Pro 14.
15 quid then, that. Get it? Because of the fivers on each one. Harmay Fiver.
There we go. Yeah. So, hell of a stint from Harmay Fiver to get his third hat-trick in the Pro 14. Only 2 of the players have done that. And he's a hooker, Jim.
Mauls then. Easy.
He loves them all. What else was good? Lewis Rees-Zammit. Yes, you are Welsh, Lewis Rees-Zammit. You make your debut. Congratulations, making your first start for Wales and scoring a try on your first start. Nice, easy finish in the corner, but we'll give him a tip of the slipper. What else was good? England. They don't win it, but England's defence especially made 246 tackles and didn't miss any of their first 90 tackles. I mean, those boys can bang, right, Jim?
They can.
Hell of a defensive stint from the England team. And sticking with the England team, that's Johnny May. His 2 tries drew him level with Ben Cohen and Will Greenwood in second place on England's all-time try scorer list, just behind Rory Underwood. He's got about 12 to go, I think.
Do you reckon he'll get there?
I think he will, yeah. He's only got to play Scotland a couple of times, and he'll be absolutely flying.
Oh, there he is. Well, they won't get up to Scotland as it stands.
Hey, very true. Very true. We'll see you in the Six Nations. Oh, that's down at England, isn't it? But a tip of the slipper to Johnny May, clucking all the way to the try line again, twice. But the Good this week can only go to one team, James.
If you say Wasps again, I'm hanging up.
Oh, well, it's not Wasps. It is one of my old clubs. I'm going to have to give them a shout out. Newcastle Falcons, back in the big time, back in the Premiership, starting with a 19-12 away win down at Bath. What a result for them. That is why the Falcons, they get the Good this week. And apparently Dino was naked on the bus on the way home. The bad, a few bits of bad actually. We'll start off with Ireland. Same old story for them against England. Just could not penetrate till Billy Burns came on and put a little chip kick.
Penetration is key.
It is, mate. You always need to penetrate. So, unfortunately, Ireland, loads of possession, but didn't do enough with it. What else was bad? Zebra over in the Guinness Pro 14 lost 47-12 at home to Connacht.
Under 50, no problems.
They're really struggling. Can you go out in Zebra these days, even with lockdown? Because they kept it under 50, Jim.
I wouldn't even know. I mean, if they can go out, I'll be going there soon.
Yeah, there we go. Who else is bad? Gloucester. We'll give them a mention. Decent looking team out, but lost 38-15 in a big defeat at Welford Road.
Such a good pre-season, though. They had a good pre-season.
They had a hell of a pre-season. Yeah, trained really well. But the bad this week, and Jim, I don't know why I'd be horrible with this. Why have you given it to Quins, Jim?
I'm quite happy to put my name to that if you don't want to.
The bad this week goes to Harlequins. Exeter is a tough opening fixture, but losing 33-3 at home isn't the best way to start the season. So the not-so-mighty Quins, you get the bad. You happy with that one, Jim?
I'm very happy.
Mate,
so some people would say that Danny Kerr and Chris Ashton should concentrate on rugby and not the media, but that isn't me saying that. That isn't me. That's some guy screaming over the fence earlier, walking the dog said that, not me.
Nice. And then the ugly. I couldn't find much ugly this weekend, but I found a couple of bits. And basically, it's whoever England's hairdresser is. Some of the lids on show, absolutely shocking. Will Stewart, I've just got to keep mentioning it. It's just horrific, isn't it? Ellis Gaines, Ellis Gaines, a carpet on his head, didn't he?
I'm warming to them. I don't know whether it's because it's normal now, but I'm tempted to go shit leg. I'm tempted to go shit lid. Rob Wainwright texted me and Kelly Brown this week and said, mullet, ? Keen. And I said, if it weren't for Sons, I'd be doing it. I would be doing it, but I'm just worried that if I do something like that, the rest of the hair might just fall out because it's in shock. But I'm warming to the hairs.
Yeah. Anyway, so the ugly this week, everything else is good in the England camp, but it's about marginal gains in sport now, and maybe they need a new team barber because some horrors are on show.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Goodey. Thanks, Producer Tim, and thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to hit subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcasts on. Leave us a review and check us out on YouTube as well.
Rugby pod.
Pod.